Washington State legislative session is nearing its 2-week mark, and we are seeing several ideas surface regarding firearms. Joining us is former State Senator Reuven Carlyle. He spent 14 years in the legislature and is the founder of the climate consulting firm Earth Finance. Thanks so much for being here, Reuven. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Joyce.
So there are a slew of gun bills that we're going to be talking about. There is something called permit to purchase. What is this bill about?
This is actually a super important priority for the Alliance for Gun Responsibility, sort of the primary advocacy organization in the state that's run a lot of the initiatives that have all passed, 60 to 70%. So what this policy does is basically requires folks to get a permit to purchase a gun before they walk into the store. So instead of right at the point of sale at the store itself, you have to go through the process of the the entire process.
It's like getting pre-approved.
That's exactly right.
Basically.
And it's an evidence-based best practices. About 12 to 13 states around the country have this. So it's not, brand new.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So today the Washington Observer published an online article. It details several bills that would potentially increase costs for owners and for dealers, including one that would add about 11% tax on guns, on gun parts, and ammunition. What are you hearing about this?
Yeah, this one actually raises about $20 to $30 million for each 2-year budget cycle, and it spends that money on domestic violence prevention. It spends the money on community intervention programs and a lot of prevention programs. So, I think it raises a lot of money, but it spends a lot of money. And, as you know, there's a big budget deficit, so there's a challenge.
But that 11% would be on top of the 10% federal tax on ammunition. So what should we expect in terms of pushback from gun owners and sellers?
Yeah, I think it's sort of a natural question. It does have an impact. At the same time, you do see a lot of recognition that the cost of gun violence is very expensive for the taxpayer. So this does start to reduce that cost on the general taxpayer.
Okay, there's also another bill that would increase license fees for dealers up to $1,000 based on how many guns they sell annually. This is already passed out of committee in the Senate, correct?
That's right.
So what are you expecting with this?
Yeah, I mean, this bill actually does come with a pretty expensive cost. So I think that there's sort of a rigorous budget question that's going to surface with it. At the same time, it's implementing previous legislation. So it's not outside the bounds of what a normal legislation. It requires the Washington State Patrol to get much more involved in the oversight of how some of the dealers are handling.
And there's also discussion about beefing up laws that are already on the books about securing weapons inside vehicles. What can you tell us? This, I believe, is House Bill 1152.
That's right. Representative Dolio is one of the leaders on this, along with Representative Berry. So many others. There's about 34 sponsors, so super popular. And there is sort of a recognition that there's like 250,000 guns a year stolen nationwide from vehicles and from homes. So securing that is a really important part. And states all over the country have worked to try to increase the security and the responsibility of gun owners. Of course, most gun owners are seen as really responsible. At the same time, you do have a lot of stolen from vehicles.
Yeah, more than 200,000. And to your point, it points to being responsible if you are a gun owner, which is most people, but that's still a lot of weapons.
That's right. It's a lot of weapons
that are circulating.
Yeah.
With the significant pushback that we see really on both sides of this gun issue, how difficult is it in general for these kinds of gun bills to pass?
Again, as we talked, there's been 3 initiatives in our state, about 60 to 70% passed by the public. That's in rural parts of the state. That's gun owners. That's conservative cities, small towns. So there is a strong support in our state. Again, the Alliance for Gun Responsibility is very well regarded. And sort of as they approach this, I think there's been an appreciation for sort of what's the appropriate next step for really responsible gun safety in our state. So some of these bills have a really good chance. I think some of them will be a challenge just because of the expense. And you know how it is. It's a legislative process. The legislature takes these guns bills really seriously. They don't, it's not flippant. They're not casual about them. They study them hard. They rigorously listen to the public on this one. This is a really important topic in Olympia.
And it's really that balancing the rights of gun ownership and safety and responsibility. Reuven Carlyle, we're out of time, but thank you so much. We want you to come back because we're just beginning. We're only 10 days into the legislative session. We have a lot to cover in the weeks ahead.
A lot of big issues this year.
Thank you.